Welcome back to Dubsy Bricks for another episode of Building Mandalorian Lego. It's been several months since we worked on the Starship here, and I thought we'd get back to it as I'm waiting for some parts to come in, and I also need to order some parts for the main Mandalore build. So I thought, let's get back to doing this. And I'd like to work on this back section here. There's a darker colour here, possibly dark bluish grey I might go for. Get some details across, and also how I'm going to actually mount the engine. So there's plenty to work out what we're going to be doing with this build. So without further ado, let's get the bricks out and let's get started. And here is the fuselage with the grey lines going across. I did try dark bluish grey, however it didn't look quite right. And I'm considering changing these two here for some sort of greeblings and pipe work going across. I think a little added detail might look a little bit better. Now, one other thing I am going to do, I'm going to tweak this section just here and extend this part out. So where this is one brick wide or one stud wide at the moment, I'm going to make it 2 studs wide and then stick these curved slopes around the outside of it. So I'm just going to make that amendment. And man, this is such slow progress today, and it's so fiddly. Every time I amend the slightest little thing on here, it's a rebuild. It just, because it's half plates and plates different in different areas, it just, you amend one part and you have to amend the whole lot of it behind the scenes. And the problem I was having was the gap between these two parts here. It was more than one brick and it just didn't look right, and I couldn't get a brick in there due to the positioning of the studs behind it. So I had to decide on what to do, and I thought by closing it back down to just the half plate difference there, it will be just I think it just looks a little bit better. But my concern is that when the wings are in flight mode, it's going to look fine, but when they're in the landing position, it might not look right. So fingers crossed it will. I'm going to be working on the wings next, so I'll soon find out if that is the case. But yeah, it's quite the process. It's very frustrating, but it's also very enjoyable at the same time. Next, I'm going to work on the wing mounts here. Now, a couple of different ideas of how I'm going to build the wings off of here. So I'm just going to start prototyping them, one on each side, and I'll check back in to show you what the options are. And work has begun on the engine mounts here, and this was the first part I was considering using, just a good old Technic beam. And I thought I could put a 16 long Technic beam coming out of here, and I'm not going to have any sag on the wing as it comes out. It's going to be nice and strong, and I'm not worried about the wing being 5 plates or the equivalent of 5 plates thick further out. It's due to the size of the build, I think it's going to look absolutely fine. The other option was using these modified plates here, and I do think that this is probably the better piece to use. I'm going to be able to put layer upon layer of plate on there, and once they're all interlocked, it should stop any movement on there. Now, one other thing as well, I want there to be studs on the top and the bottom of the joint, the part where the wing joins onto the fuselage here, and I'm wanting to put some curved slopes on here, these ones here. I want them on both the top and the bottom, and if I can use these parts here, I can actually rotate these upside down, and now I've got the studs on the top and the bottom. Whether or not this is going to be sufficient studs to hold the whole wing, because I'm only going to be playing with 8 studs on each side there, sorry, on the top and the bottom, I'm not sure. So I'm going to have to experiment a little bit more. One other option was this one just here. It's the same amount of studs, but it's coming out further long-wise than it is going across. So just need to experiment a little bit more. But hopefully, between these two pieces here, we'll come up with a solution that works. And here is the inside of the wing. So I thought I'd just show you this. I've got several of these, as you can see, these modified plates all in place, a couple of snot bricks. Everything's just happening to keep it all together. And what I'll be doing is I'll be attaching the wing onto the end here. Now, one thing I was considering doing was a snot technique on the wing. So I was going to put these double-sided snot bricks all the way along the edge here and then attach it on there. However, I was a little bit concerned that the structural side of it wouldn't be strong enough, so I've decided against that. I could put a rounded Technic bar all the way through, that might help keep it all together, but again, I just feel like it could potentially be a little bit fragile. I think the UCS Shuttle Tidarium was built using brick built wings in a similar technique, could possibly or would work that way. However, I want the patterns in the wings as well. So for that reason, I think a plated and tile version will look better. So I'm just going to carry on building this up, and hopefully I'm going down the right route. And just checking in with a progress update, and I've shrunk the width of this build section here by 2 studs. put the curves on, as you can see, and it's giving it a nice look. I'm really happy of how this is coming along. Just need to work out how I'm going to be attaching or what style I'm going to do for the wings. I've got 4 Technic points there to connect it to, and then I'll tile the 2 together just to keep it nice and firm. I don't think I'm going to be going for tile effect on the bottom. I think it'd be too difficult to keep everything all together all the way through. And if I can, then I will, but I'll worry about that bit a little bit later. Now, there is a little bit of movement here. This wing here, as you can see, I can twist it a little bit and it's not moving the other side, whereas it should be moving at the same time. So there are some movement elements on there that I would do with avoiding if I could, but it's not the end of the world. Also, the wings are sagging down. They're just so heavy for 1 Technic beam, which is connected by 3 Technic pins. But again, when this is in flight mode, when these wings are up like so, I'm hoping that the wings are going to be able to take the weight of the fuselage itself. But if it doesn't, again, it's not a problem. We just put a couple of trans clear bricks underneath the fuselage just to keep everything all square and looking right. But anyway, let's start working on the wing design. And once I make a bit more progress, I'll check back in and show you what it's looking like. And work has started on the wing here, and trying to get as many of the lines that go in and out on here as possible. This is going to be 4 plates fixed, so the next one is where I'm going to start doing the details of the different coloured lines on there, and I'm hoping that it's going to be strong enough. On here I've got the multicoloured filler plate because I'm not going to be able to see that on here. Now, the one thing I am having now is I need to come off at a 45-degree angle here, and I've got these plates here. These would be replaced by white, and I could put them along. However, you get to a stage where you've got this gap here, and even if I use a smaller plate here, you've still got a section that pops in and out. Now, years ago, there used to be a 4x4 triangle piece which had a cut section off of one corner, which enabled you to put it up snug against another one. However, that part no longer exists in new sets, so I won't be using that. Now, the only other option I could do is to actually have this reversed round, so I could actually put it in like so. Then I have a nice smooth edge here, and then I can lose those holes inside the actual wing itself with some tiling. So I'm just going to experiment, see how easy it is going to be to do it this way. But if not, I'll just go for it round that way with those bits, and there'll be the cut sections on there. The very top section won't be a problem, as the you can tile over those, so just be cuts out of it in the actual middle of the wing. And this is what the wing is looking like so far. Really happy with how it's coming along. It is gigantic, and it still needs a lot of work doing to it. It's only 2 layers thick at the moment, so this top level here will be tiled as well as plated as well. Try and get it as smooth as possible and get all the colour differences in there as necessary. I need to get some of these in white. I don't think I actually have any at the moment, and I need 2 of those per wing at least. And down the bottom here, I just got to work out how I'm going to do the engine mounts on there. But yeah, all in all, pretty pleased how it's coming along. On at the moment, it's just joined on via the Technic clips and the pins. But what I will do when I actually build this on here properly, once I know that it's exactly the shape and size I want it to be, the plate will go continuous over here. So there'll be a lot of connection points which should all clip together, so it won't just slide off. But yeah, let's carry on building and see how much more we get done. And I managed to find a whole box of white pieces which have enabled me to build the second wing as well. So I've got both the wings now ready to be mounted onto the support structure just here. So I've pulled the plates off. I'm going to connect the Technic pins to the wing itself and then plate back over so it's all joined together. It's still going to be really fragile until I've tiled it off, and I need to find some way of, if I can, of connecting the bottom to here as well. And I have seen the technique online before where you have a hinge piece and you reverse hinge on one side so you can go from stud to anti-stud. So we'll give that a try a little bit further down the line, but let's just see how strong we can make this to start with. And there are the wings all attached to the fuselage, and this is a big beast, and it is, I'll show you in a moment, it is bigger than the landing platform, which does pose a little bit of a problem. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge a little bit later. Might have to make it that the landing platform is larger than the actual building itself, so this we can sit on top of it. The connection joint in here, this does feel like I can rotate the wings. They're not going to snap, or they certainly won't do once I finish plating it off and tiling off on the top and then putting another layer on the back of it. However, it would be nice if I could think of a stronger mechanism in the center there that does rotate, that will stop the wings from flexing, because they are really flexing at the moment. It's just droops so much. And also, you can almost put one wing down and the other wing stays upright. And it says a lot of twisting inside there, which I don't like. But at this moment in time, I haven't thought of anything that I can replace it with. If I do, then I might make the change. It wouldn't take long to strip all this down now that I know which part goes where to get the angles that I want. So if I can think of another mechanism in there, then yeah, I'll certainly consider changing that over. Anyway, let's put this on top of the mock and show you how it looks. And here we have the Starship on the top of the building here. Landing platform, not sure whether I'm going to extend it or not. I might do it by so it overhangs by a few studs either side. That way I can turn the ship around just a little bit more. Now the engines, they'll be round about there on the wing, and they are the landing gear. So the actual wings themselves, the tip part here, could hang over the end of the building and it will probably look absolutely fine. But yeah, just need to make a decision on whether or not to amend the actual wing mounts inside the build there. Anyway, that's all we've got time for. Hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. If you know anybody else you think would be interested in building Mandalore or building Gotham, if you could share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for popping by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.